What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Pigskin Pete. Happy Monday to everybody. Since it is Monday, it's time for another amazing and fantastic top 10 ranking video from your boy here. Several teams that were in my top 10 last week lost, so we'll see how that was shaken up this week right after the bumper. All right, guys, if you're new here, please hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. I do these college football videos and live streams year-round. There is no off-season for Pigskin Pete. All right, now, 3 of the teams that were in my top 10 last week lost this week, so we'll see some changes there. Those 3 teams were Oklahoma State, North Carolina, and Michigan. Oof, what happened to Michigan? So we'll see some big movements, especially 5 through 10. Maybe not a whole lot from 1 through 4, but let's go ahead and get right into it, and I'll explain my reasoning for this. At number 10, Oklahoma State. So they're going to be the only team in the top 10 that lost last week and didn't fall out of the top 10. Okay, so there's a bunch of one-loss teams at the top, right? So this is the same situation I've been having this entire season, is who to put at 10, because quite frankly, anybody from 10 through 15, or some would even say 10 through 17, a bunch of one-loss teams throughout the country, you can make a case for putting at 10. You can make a case at this point for putting Coastal Carolina at 10 as an undefeated team in the group of 5. We know we have one group of 5 team in the top 10, but I think there's a clear-cut difference between that team and Coastal Carolina. Anyway, the very long-winded way of saying Oklahoma State, the Pokes, holding solid at number 10 with a close loss to the Texas Longhorns over the weekend. All right, let's take a look at number 9, Miami. Miami moves into the top 10. They weren't even in the top 10 last week. They didn't play last week, which is probably good news for them because of these other teams that lost allowed Miami to move up. Here we go again. Another one-loss team, just like Oklahoma State. The difference is Miami lost to, the AP ranked number 1 team in the country, right? Depending on who where you have Clemson ranked 1, 2, or 3 in any poll or ranking system. That's the quote unquote probably the best loss, right, out of all these one-loss teams. Maybe A&M's another one that has a great loss, right, to Alabama being their only loss. Anyway, Miami's sitting there with one loss, and their only loss being to Clemson. So that's a better loss than Oklahoma State's loss to Texas. So they have them ranked 1 spot higher than Oklahoma State. All right, let's take a look at number 8. Number 8, Florida. Now, you can flip-flop Miami and Florida if you want to, right? So Florida has a 1 loss as well to a very good Texas A&M team. Florida, to me, just ekes out Miami just with the eye test, I guess. I mean, it's really hard to compare these two unless they played each other. One has a solid defense. The other one has a solid offense. I don't know if how you really separate these two, other than to say which one do you just think looks better. And usually, especially these days, I'm going to go with the team with a high-powered offense over the team with a solid defense. So I'm going to go with Florida, barely eking out Miami for the number 8 spot. All right, let's take a look at number 7, Texas A&M. A&M is looking better and better each week. Kellen Mond is finally playing like all of the hype that he does get. He's actually living up to it. He's been a very inconsistent quarterback over his career at Texas A&M, but right now he's playing good ball, and so is Texas A&M. This is another team, right? With 1 loss to a great team, to Alabama. A&M could find themselves, depending on what happens in the east of the SEC, still a lot that can happen there between Georgia and Florida, but they could find themselves in the playoff hunt at the end of this thing, even as a non-division winner. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them, but right now, Texas A&M is definitely one of the top 6. Some people even have them in their top 5 right now, teams in the country. So the Aggies playing good football and sticking solid at number 7 for me. And number 6, finally moving up spot. I've had Cincinnati at number 7 for, I don't know, 3 weeks now. This team is really good, and I know it's a group of 5 team. I know you don't really get a gauge on a group of 5 team unless you put them against a Power 5 team. For instance, last year, Cincinnati went undefeated except for one game. They played against Ohio State and they lost like 46-0 or something like that. So that's the gauge between the top tier teams in the Power 5 versus the top tier teams in the group of 5. However, this is not last year. So, many people believe that Cincinnati is a better, more well-rounded team than the UCF team from a few years ago that claimed a national championship, went undefeated, and then won their New Year's Six bowl game. This is usually the thing that separates the group of 5 teams that are good from the Power 5 teams that are good. You can notice a considerable size difference on the lines of scrimmage, mainly the offensive and defensive line. Cincinnati has a Power 5 level defensive line. That goes a long way, folks. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if Cincinnati runs the table and does it convincingly. Will they actually be considered for the playoffs? I think it's going to be hard for that to happen. There would have to be a lot that did happen, several 2-loss teams maybe, and they go undefeated and do it convincingly. I really don't see a way for them to get in there, but it'd be interesting. Nonetheless, they'll at least make a New Year's Six bowl game and play a very good Power 5 team, and I'd like to see how that ends up. Anyway, Cincinnati's a very good ball club. Anybody that knows what they're watching knows that, and they're taking teams that are highly ranked in the group of 5 and just wiping the floor with them right now. Team number 5, Georgia. Man, I don't know what's going on there. Georgia, one of the most talented teams in the country. With one of the most pathetic offenses in the country. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, I don't really know what you say about this other than good luck. They have Florida this week. So, I mean, obviously, if they beat Florida, they'll move up into my top 4. Because, listen, Clemson and Notre Dame are playing each other. So that'll open the door for Georgia to move up into the top 3 or 4 with a win this weekend. Look, they're going to have to do it on defense, right? So what you have here is you have a very high-powered offense in Florida and a dominant defense in Georgia. That's going to be the story of the game, obviously. I don't know what to expect from Georgia offensively. The quarterback situation there is just absolutely mind-boggling. I don't understand how you have a 5-star quarterback who's cleared to play that you brought in from California, sitting on the bench behind Stetson Bennett. I don't get it. It makes zero sense to anybody on the outside unless JT Daniels just looks so terrible in practice, or DeJuan Mathis, or what's the freshman's name? Carson Beck. If all these guys just look completely terrible, which I have a hard time believing that's even possible, all 3 other quarterbacks look terrible. I just don't get it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this weekend, but if Stetson Bennett starts and plays against Florida, I think Florida wins the game. Number 4, Notre Dame. Notre Dame had a solid, very convincing win this weekend. Obviously, they get their test this week against the Clemson Tigers, coming to South Bend. Well, let's just go ahead and put up 3-2-1 because they haven't changed from last week, and I want to explain why they haven't. Now, just like I said last week, 3-2-1, I think are all razor thin as far as the eye test goes. So if you're going to rank them outside of just the eye test, then there has to be some parameters here. I have Alabama at 1. I think that Clemson still won in the AP. I'm punishing Clemson for letting Syracuse score 20 points on them. I'm punishing Clemson for having a bad half against Boston College. There's a lot of reasons for this. The Clemson and Boston College game, the score doesn't really reflect the game that much. You had 2 fluke plays that were accounted for 14 points. Listen, the first half, Clemson's defense played awful, but there was also just the 99-yard fumble return for a touchdown. That's a 14-point swing right there. Clemson was about to score, punching in from the 1-yard line. At the very, very least, get a field goal at worst-case scenario. Anyway, you had that. Then you had the circus catch that bounced off the guy's knee that the guy caught for Boston College. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Boston College. They made great plays when they had to. Now, the second half, Clemson made the adjustments that Brent Venables does. This is the reason that Brent Venables is the best defensive coordinator in the country. Made halftime adjustments that went out there, shut Boston College out completely in the second half. And then, of course, DJ Uiagalelei and Travis Etienne had amazing second half performances to bring the Tigers back and score a bunch of unanswered points and come out with the victory there. Now, Ohio State certainly looks the part, and I think that by the end of the season, it's very possible that the Buckeyes are the ranked number one team in the country, and I will put them there when they deserve to be there. At this point, though, they've only played 2 games, and they have wins over 2 teams with a combined 0 wins. So that has to matter as well. However, just going off of the eye test, the Buckeyes look great. Justin Fields looks like a top-tier Heisman candidate. I think I mentioned last week as well that I think that there's a lot of similarities between Clemson and Ohio State, and mainly it is they both have veteran high-powered offenses with Heisman caliber quarterbacks, and their defenses are young. I mean, extremely talented but young. Same thing you're seeing what happened with Ohio State and Clemson at the same time. So I think there's a lot of similarities there, and of course I think both of these teams will most likely be there at the end of the season, whether they play each other or not. And then, of course, Notre Dame at 4. All of this is irrelevant. Well, at least it is between Notre Dame and Clemson, because one of those has to lose this week. I think it's going to be a great game. It is significant that Trevor Lawrence is out for this game. I mean, I understand that DJ played well against Boston College. He looks the part. He has the size. He has the arm. He has the poise. To have your first start be an 18-point comeback victory is impressive, even no matter who it's against. So we'll see how it ends up. But either way, Clemson or Notre Dame's going to win this week, which will allow the Buckeyes and possibly Georgia or Florida to move up into that top 4 spot. So there you have it, folks. Leave me your comments below. Of course, I want to know what you think about this, and I will see you guys very soon. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete is checking out.